Hello and Assalamu alaikum. You must have seen a few intro videos that we have put on PeaceQuest here, talking about the themes that we are covering. Today, however, I want to share with you the broader context in which we tried to use PeaceQuest as a platform which at some point in time down the road will surely and definitely help the idea which some of the community organizations, some of the community partners have been discussing for about 2 years now. Our conversation started in the context of diversity and inclusion in the wake of attacks on individuals as well as religious institutions here in Ottawa, and some high-profile incidents like the mass shooting in the Quebec City Mosque in January 2017. So the mayor of Ottawa, chief of police, Alex Munter, who is the chair of Ottawa Local Immigration Partnership, and some elected officials, they expressed interest in knowing if there could be a central mechanism, a common platform to champion, to adequately respond and provide support to address this particular issue. So we know from experience that any such work at the system level very much depends on a coordinated approach and an integrated action at the community level. So keeping that in mind, a series of conversations were held with a core group of agencies here in Ottawa, including OLIP, CAVI, Synapsity, and United Way. What we realized was that Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, racism, xenophobia are just symptoms of the common problem of hate, intolerance, and extremism. And the cause for that is the inherent weakness in our nature, which due to some misunderstanding or a period of time combined with some specific circumstances makes some of us slide to the extreme. Interestingly, since we are all human, these elements of hate, intolerance, and extremism are not limited to one specific set of people from a particular belief system or a particular culture or ideology. It's part of our human nature. It's universal. We all tend to judge others to varying degrees. We all have this tendency to perceive people as other, who don't look like us, who don't dress like us, who don't believe like us. So the problem begins when this inherent trait of our nature is either exploited by deliberate misinformation, misinterpretation, or misled in the absence of a support mechanism to correct our perspective. So with time, our negative perspective about others gets more and more ingrained in our mind. And then depending on our mental abilities, weaknesses, and circumstances in which we live, that negativity sometimes gets translated into actions, sometimes physical and even violent, right? So I won't go into details on this, but to test our conclusions and initial findings, and to find out local solutions, we went through a quick mapping exercise to find out who in Ottawa was doing what, on which of these 6 issues, and tried to bring all of them under one roof to discuss this further. So it was June 22nd, 2017 when we engaged representatives from 23 different faith organizations, community service agencies, funders, and law enforcement agencies in one room to have a deliberation and consultation. And the conclusions were really unanimous and compelling. In a nutshell, if I tell you, the participants agreed that hate, intolerance, and sliding of individuals into extremism and violent crimes was a common problem. Although every organization and every community is doing something on its own, there needs to be a central mechanism, a coordinated effort to address the core problem. One, by sharing our expertise, our respective strengths, knowledge, and tools that we might have. And number two, developing a proactive and preventative response to this problem rather than preparing for after the fact scenarios and situations. That work is underway currently, looking for some coordination resources. Public Safety Canada has provided some support to a multi-agency response program that's called MERIT, but there is still far from what's actually needed for across the board preventative work in this regard. So we are still looking for resources to kickstart a preventative educational and awareness raising program based on the strengths and mutual expertise of all the partners. A program that will cover all age groups in all geographical areas across the city and reach out at all levels from the community associations and community groups to schools, all the way to workplaces. So that's the broader vision. However, in the meanwhile, we launched PeaceQuest to demonstrate how information and knowledge from core sources, core Islamic sources, which are the Quran and Sunnah, can be framed differently to raise awareness both among Muslims and non-Muslims, and mainly Muslim youth, to start addressing the core problem, at least from the Muslim side, from the Muslim perspective. So as an example, of course, youth drop-ins, youth counseling, youth after-school programs, youth recreational programs, all of them are good to keep youth off the street in safe places, away from the negative influences. However, that alone is not good enough. Muslim youth, for instance, need to understand the philosophy behind the seemingly simple instructions and commandments which don't stick as they hear them from the traditional sources in a conventional way. So we need to bridge the religious sector with the social service sector. We need to encourage facilitation and training expertise of the mainstream organizations to convey the same message more effectively. So we have to provide some current context, some more logic, some rationale, some science and psychology to make that message stick. So once the youth get that, it becomes impossible to sway them from the right path. So regardless of the circumstances, they just stick to that, and that works. And we have demonstrated that over here at PeaceQuest in the past year or so. The responses that we've got, the feedback that we've got, so it proves that works. And that's why we say that with confidence that the content that we are developing here will help, one, in the broader coordinated bridging the sectors work that the 23 organizations have envisioned. And number two, it would help address the misconceptions, the myths and misunderstandings about Islam that confuse both Muslims and non-Muslims. Number three, it will discuss the misinterpretations of the Islamic text both by Muslims and non-Muslims. And number four, it would explain the core message of Islam that helps to live a contented, peaceful life away from all sorts of negative influences that lead to the extremes. So that's the objectives, that's the mission, and that's the vision of the PeaceQuest platform. Thank you so much.